And we're about to go live. Hey, what's up, everybody? Andy here with Nuts Off the Table. And we're coming to you live from the Mad Sis Production Studios in Lake St. Louis, Missouri. We had initially intended to try to do this on Facebook, which is where we normally do this. But apparently, Facebook. Facebook's having issues today, and I think so is Instagram. But that's all right. We will come here, and we'll do our little Facebook Live here. Instead of Facebook, we'll do YouTube Live for Nothing's Off the Table. Anyway, this is something we like to call Open Forum Wednesdays. So we like to open this up. Hey, Minty, yo, mate, what's happening? I'm glad you could finally join us for something. Yeah, so Open Forum Wednesdays, and what I want to do is I'm going to put our number up here. It's 316 512 1465. I know you're over across the pond, buddy, but that's okay. But if you wanted to join us on Skype, you could do that as well. Our Skype channel is madsisproduction@gmail.com, and again, I'll put that on here too. So madsisproduction@gmail.com. We are super happy to have you on. So basically what we like to do on Wednesdays is have some folks on and talk about anything they want to talk about. Again, we're Nothing's Off the Table, so there you have it. We've got some guests coming on. I've been working some issues. We've got our gun control debate that's finally going to come to fruition, I hope. And so we've got another special guest that's going to be coming on as well. But we're not going to, I don't want to give that away yet, but that's scheduled for the 17th of this month. So in about 2 weeks or so, we'll have that on and we'll have that live, and we are really looking forward to that. Anyway, Minty, wow. It's a pleasure, my friend. Pleasure to have you on. The stream looks like it's a little bit crappy, but you know what? I'll take what I can get for now. Beggars can't be choosers. Like I said, we normally do this on Facebook. But again, what can I say? So, how's things in the UK, my friend? Yeah, I imagine they are. If some of the politicians get their way here in the States, then we're going to be just like you guys. But I hear the UK, aren't you guys having a really bad problem with stabbings and knifings now? That's a little bit crazy to me. It just goes to show you, man, if criminals want to commit crimes, they're going to. Criminals don't obey the laws. Law-abiding citizens do. And, well, we'll leave that topic for the next podcast. How's the weather over there, my friend? I've kind of sort of been to the UK. Well, I've been to the UK. I haven't really been to England. Well, I guess it's all the same nowadays. But I was in Faslane, Scotland. Uh, well, that's about most politicians. Are you in London then? I'm assuming, or is it just London is the general area of most of the problems? So again, if you're willing, I'd like to invite you to our Skype channel, madsisproduction@gmail.com. Feel free to call in. That'd be great. We don't have to do a video. We can do a phone. Or if you're in the States, you can actually, the number I put out there is a Google number, so you could probably try that as well if you feel like you want to join the show. But yeah, Mitya, I really appreciate your support. I really appreciate you following the channel. That's been great. And we plan on bringing you guys some more great shows. But since I'm on here talking and it's open forum, I just wanted to kind of plug what I've got going on. So this past weekend, I recently did some shooting on a project. A friend of mine, uh, Attitude Creations, they are filming a short film called 821 Justin Drive, and so I am the director of photography on that. And we spent the whole weekend shooting, and it ended up going really great. Um, and then I am hopefully starting filming soon on my project that I have called Rest Area. And there's actually a Facebook page for Rest Area. And if you want to go to that page, I actually put the storyline on the page, and you can read that. And then you can kind of see where we're going to go with the short film. So we're really excited about that. And I'm also in the process of writing a continuation to that first short story, which is going to be well, it's not going to be a short story. I'm already at 6,000 over 6,000 words, and I haven't even finished developing characters yet. But my friend Minty, anything that you in particularly would like to talk about? Any topics we can bring up for you? Any shows that you would like to see in the future? More than willing to do it. Hell, you want to be a guest? Come on the show. Since you've been a big supporter, um, I'm very curious. What do you like about the show? Uh, I like to I'd like to continue to bring good quality programs, and so your feedback would be great. What do you like about the show? What do you not like about the show? Um, what would you like to see? The whole thing. I've got really thick skin, as you probably heard from most of my podcasts. That not too many people. No one. You can't really offend me. It takes a whole lot to offend me. So I'm a big boy. I put on my big boy pants and be willing to take whatever criticism or whatever you want to give. So um, real quick, what I need to do is I need to go back to Facebook and I need to post this link so that the folks that were expecting it on Facebook can come over here and join us here. Da, 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 da. Bam. All right, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas. So yeah, that's about what we've got going on. Excellent, thank you. I wish my wife found me interesting. I kid, I kid. Don's a great guy. It's too bad I couldn't have done that interview with him live when we were in Virginia, but unfortunately, other circumstances arose, and we had to come back here to Missouri, and that's okay too. But yeah, so he's a great guy, and when I felt when we were talking, that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like we were just talking. Two old shipmates sitting around, almost like we're in the Chiefs Club, having beers and telling sea stories. So he's a great guy, and it's a sad thing that they took him off of YouTube. But no worries, he's got ways around everything, like a good frogman does. But so what'd you do in the army? Shoot, I don't even know what time it is over there. Is it like early evening there? I guess I'm pretty far out of touch nowadays. Anyway, let's see. What else was that did I want to put out? So some exciting news for me. Not all that exciting, but I submitted my retirement papers last week, and I am looking forward to I'm looking forward to those to come through so we can retire. If everything goes right, I'm going to retire on the 1st of August next year, which will give me 30 years, 7 months, and 25 days of active duty service. Um, So yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a good ride, but as all great things must, this is going to come to an end. Infantry. Let me tell you what, my friend. I've got a special place in my heart for infantrymen. I spent about 12 years with the Marine Corps Infantry as a doc, as a medic, and hands down, hands down the best time of my career. Wouldn't trade it for anything. In fact, I wish I could go back, but I'm too old, fat, and slow nowadays. My body's too broken. I'm sure you can relate, but infantry's where it's at. The bonds that I created, the friendships that I created in the infantry are the strongest that I'll ever have, and you just can't compare it. Especially I'm finding nowadays. Now that I'm back in Missouri, and there's not a lot of military around here, it's hard to relate to a lot of folks, but that's okay. I will say this: the folks here in Missouri really are very appreciative of the military and very supportive. So that's nice because in the high concentrated military areas where I've been stationed, not so much, and I could understand why. Folks just get tired of they get tired of seeing the military people all around, and let's face it, not all of those not everyone in the military are straight up. They can be some knuckleheads and cause problems, but it is what it is. um, so I would love to I'd love to hear some of your stories, man. um, you Brits, I've served with you guys a little bit, and I've served. I also was on submarines, so I served. Got to go and see some of your boats that you guys have, and man, you guys know how to do it. You do it right. You get alcohol rations, and which we don't have in the U.S. military. Um, it's pretty cool, and I think even in your field rations, you guys don't you have something in there too? I think some type of alcohol. I don't know. You tell me. But yeah, you guys are crazy in a good way. In a good way. Also, I had the luxury of being able to do some cross training in evolutions with the Australian Marines, and those guys can drink. Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of what we were suffering through over the last 8 years when we had President Obama in office. In America, I really don't care what your political affiliation is. Statistics and facts are facts. Every time we get a Democrat that comes into office, we always get sliced to the bone as far as the military goes. And then if we get a conservative or Republican in, then they try to build us back up. But it's like a never-ending cycle, you know, cutting and slash and rebuild, and they wonder why we have so many debt issues for the national debt. And tins, tins and dry biscuits. I tell you, when I first started serving, we had the old style MREs right after the C rations had gone away, and those were pretty awful. They had the dehydrated beef patty and pork patty and the what we called the five fingers of death. These four, I guess they were sausage links or whatever, and it was awful, totally awful. But nowadays, the MREs, they've come a long, long way. They've got some pretty crazy stuff in there now, pretty tasty. Um, but the reason why everyone complains about them, as you know, my friend, when you're eating the same thing over and over and over again, that crap it just gets old. And there's always people rat fucking the MRE boxes, going through and picking out their favorites before anyone can get to them. So it is what it is. So my luck is always I get stuck with the crappy ones, but yeah, whatever. Um, but they are much better than they used to be. Yeah, absolutely. Dried food that you add the hot water to, which, you know what? If you had the luxury of getting hot water, great. But 9 times out of 10, when we were in the field, it was never, you didn't have hot water. There were to be no open flames. So you just added cold water and you ate shit, and it sucked. But nowadays they got the little chemical heaters in their MREs that you put the meals in and add a little bit of water, and you got a nice warm meal. Oh, I bet. I could only imagine apple flakes. Um, they've got, you'll appreciate this. We always had crackers, those really dry crackers, and if you're lucky, you got some jam in there. So everybody would always say to the new guy, whoever the new guy was, they'd be like, "Hey," especially for their first field op, they'd be like, "Hey, you want some crackers and jam?" And of course, the new guy's gonna roger up and say, "Yeah." So the smart ass was always, "Hey, we'll crack your fingers and jam them up your ass." But yeah, you guys, it really depended on the unit you had and the leadership you had, whether or not you could bring one of those little stoves. Most times, more often than not, we weren't ever allowed to do it. Right. Well, the Marine Corps is all about pure suck. So it's like I like to attribute it to having an animal in a cage and poking them with a stick and getting them all riled up, and keeping them in there, and then finally when you need them, you open that cage up and let them out. So the philosophy was, if we keep you miserable all the time, that's going to keep you angry, and then when it's time to fight, you guys are going to get out there and take it to the enemy. Locate, close with, and destroy the enemy. I'm sure that the British infantry has a very similar definition of infantry. So we definitely chewed some of the same dirt, my friend. Now, did you do any tours in Iraq and Afghanistan? Real quick, I want to put it out there again. Hey, if someone wants to join in, call into the show. It's 316-512-1465. If you want to Skype us, it's madsisproduction@gmail.com. Please call in. It's open forum Wednesday. We are here to answer or any questions that you may have, or even better, we are here to have whatever you want to talk about. So come on the show and let us know. We've got a good supporter here, Minty, who's followed us since our podcast with Don Shipley, and we're glad to have him here. So come in and say hello to him, and we really appreciate you, following us and supporting us. We couldn't do it without folks like you. Well, I guess we could, but nobody else would listen. But anyway, yeah. So we're happy to have you on the show, my friend. My buddy Chad, who's the co-host, is well, of course, he's in Virginia, so unfortunately, it's hard to get him on the show and get the concurrent hosting thing going on. But someday when he retires, after he makes admiral, then maybe we can do it. But I missed that last part. Maybe I'm not understanding on the last part of your SLR. Yeah, it's a good stopping power for sure. M16s are nice. You did. I'm not sure what NI is. You have to educate me on that. I'm just an ignorant American. What do you call us, Yanks? Some of my best insults I've ever had and ever heard were from the Brits and from the Australians. You guys have some what would you call them? Cheeky. Oh yeah, cheeky comments, I guess. I loved it. Um, oh, okay, got it. Northern Ireland. See, ignorant American here. So were you in Northern Ireland back when you guys were still having all the problems with the Irish, the terrorists and whatnot? What was it, the RA over there that you guys? Yanks. Um, so you guys had to deal with a lot of, Jesus, man, like car bombings and the lot, huh? Is that still going on over there? Because since all the terrorism here for the last almost 20 years, we don't really. I know at least here in the States, we don't hear about it much. Yeah, I'd like the. Yeah, I'm sure, man. Jesus, that's crazy. I'll never understand it. I'm sure you probably won't either. But I guess that's life. It's what it is, I suppose. Um, I like the M4, the M16s. High velocity rounds. Not quite the stopping power. If we'd go back to a 7.62 rifle as normal carry, then that would be pretty good. However, the SAW, the squad automatic weapon, it's at 5.56, and it's got a pretty high cyclic rate, and so that can lay down some lead when you need the cover fire for sure. Um, and the good old M60, the pig that we used to carry. I guess I'm dating myself a little bit, but that's okay. Um, well, that's good. I didn't realize that you guys had pulled out. Um, I could probably make an inappropriate joke there, but I won't. It's too easy. Too easy. Yeah, the 308, which is the 7.62, the NATO round. Um, I've got the M1 carbine that we use fires the 308 or 7.62, and that's a fantastic weapons platform. The old the old sniper rifles that we used to use back when I was with the Marine Corps were the M40, the Remington 700s, and that's an excellent platform. I actually have one of those myself in 243 caliber, and that thing is a tack driver. Like you just wherever you're pointing that weapon, that's where it's going to hit. The round's going to hit. So if you miss the target with that one, that's you. It's not the weapon. Same with the M1 that I have. But man, I really wish you should Skype in, man. I'm sure we could tell some excellent stories. I really want to hear more about the whole Northern Ireland thing. So maybe we could set something up for the future. Let me ask you a question. Is there a like a organized crime presence there in the UK, like the mob, like we have dealt with here in the States? So I'm showing that we have three concurrent viewers. I don't know who they are, other than my friend Minty. So, Minty, is that cool calling you that, or do you have something else that I can call you? Is that I'm sure there's a story behind that. I would love to hear it. Oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, let's. Hey, send me a message. Let's do this. I'll put the send me an email, my friend, and we'll definitely schedule something to get together. I would love to hear some of your stories. You probably find Don Shipley fascinating as well as I do, but man, I find that whole Northern Ireland thing fascinating. Most people, you, Americans are kind of ignorant. Um, if it's not if they're not watching TV about the Kardashians or some other garbage like that, then they don't pay attention. That's half of the problem with this country right now. Don't get me wrong, I love my country. I obviously would not have spent 30 years in the military defending her if I didn't. But yeah, we got some issues, just like every country, I guess. But it's been a pleasure talking with you, my friend. Yeah, we'll hash out the details and we'll definitely get you on the show. I think it would be fantastic to hear your perspective. You know what I'm really curious about hearing is your perspective, a non-U.S. person's perspective on the U.S. And I'd also love to hear your opinion on our political situation going on. Yeah, I bet you are, buddy. A lot of other countries are too, and we're just in our own little bubble over here. I think a lot of times, if sometimes I think it should be mandatory for American citizens to serve 1 or 2 years mandatory in the military. Maybe they could appreciate the things that we have at home here, especially serving overseas. I've been in some real shitholes, and it makes me really appreciate everything we've got. But not everybody sees it that way. There's a lot of people here sitting around eating bonbons and all that other shit, and you know, it is what it is. But that's why we fight. That's why we fight to keep our country free and let them do their shit. I'm, I'm sorry. I posted something on Facebook earlier on the page saying, "Sorry, folks. Looks like Facebook is having issues. I'm going to try this on YouTube." And one of my friends, Jeff, he said, "Hell yeah, fuck Facebook." Oh yeah, that's an excellent documentary. I watched that as well. Um, when I first came in the military, and I went through what they call field medical service school for serving with the Marine Corps. Two of my instructors were Vietnam vets. One was a doc or a corpsman, and the other was a gunnery sergeant who had served multiple tours in Vietnam. And that dude he was crazy. He was like scary crazy because he could trip offline at any second, and you know they would the corpsman would mess with him, especially at night, and he would tell him, "Hey, Gunny, gooks in the wire, Gunny," and you could see his whole attitude change. His body would stiffen up, and he would just turn scary. And then the corpsman would have to tell him, "Hey, I'm just kidding, man. There's nothing here." But it was nighttime, and you could see him reliving everything in his face, and he was, it was, I can't even describe it. You would just have to see it to understand what this poor guy was going through. So yeah, it's pretty harrowing what those guys had to come through, and then to come home to a nation that was ungrateful, and those guys never received welcome, spit on, called baby killers. Uh, it's freaking crazy. Um, but I tell you what, St. Louis here, actually the whole country, but they have a program called Honor Flights, and what they'll do is they'll select World War II, Korean, and Vietnam vets, and they'll send them to Washington D.C. free for a day. They'll fly out, they'll go see all the monuments, and they'll do a bunch of nice things for the veterans, and then they bring them home same day. And then what they don't realize we do, and I hope I'm not ruining this for some people, but we get a bunch of active duty folks to line the airport hallways when they return back off the plane, and we welcome them back. And it's amazing to be a part of that. You see a lot of those guys break down and cry, and to be able to give them something, a welcome home that they never had, is just a great feeling. It's something that you don't do for yourself, you do it for them, and it's a way to give back. And a lot of them, it kind of in a way gives them some closure. They're finally, they feel welcome. So it's nice to be able to do that. My father served in Vietnam, so I completely understand everything that they went through. Not to mention like all the chemicals, Agent Orange and all that stuff that was kept under wraps, which they now found have caused so many chronic health conditions. Yeah, it's just crazy. And I'm gonna tell you now, I guarantee it. 10, 15 years down the road, oh shit, we're already figuring it out now that there was exposure to chemical weapons, no matter what the politicians tell you, in Iraq. And I've got several friends that are suffering from a lot of these chronic diseases that they don't even know, number one, what they are, how to treat them. All they can do is assume and attribute it to possible chemical warfare exposure at some point. But anyway, it is what it is. Please email me, and we will definitely set up that time to get together and get on the show. I really, really want to hear a lot of your stories. Looks like we're back. I was just saying we had some technical difficulties there, but I think this would be a great time to wrap this up. My friend Minty, thank you so much for coming on and joining, and hit me up on that email, and we will definitely put together a time where we can do the Skype thing. And I'm really really curious to hear your stories on Northern Ireland, my friend, and your other stories as well, and of course, how the outside world views Americans, which I think I pretty much have a good indication and idea on that. But anyway, it'll be great. Let me know. Thank you, everyone that came in to see this. And again, I've been recording this separately, and I will put it up here shortly. And we'll talk to everyone soon. Minty, your support, my friend, means a lot. Thank you so much, buddy. And we'll talk to you soon. All right, everyone. Take care.